So we're about to start now.
Just wanted to say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Horton. Hi.
Hi guys.
Thank you all for joining. Okay, my name is Mostafa Saber. I've founded RevitCourses.com since 5 years now, and I've created a website, a BIM blog. I've been teaching for almost 16 years now, and
Wow.
yeah, 16. Yes, thank you. So let's start with the workshop presentation. This is a quick brief. I'll just okay.
Hi, Mostafa.
Hi, how are you doing? How are you all doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
All good, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi.
Apologies, guys. I'll have to mute everyone because we're going to record this, so everyone else also will be able to see it if they cannot. Okay. Okay. I'll allow you to unmute if you have any questions. So please, if you have some question, you can unmute and ask. Okay. Starting with a quick background about me. I have 16 years of coaching experience. I have a Bachelor of Science in Architectural Engineering in 2004. I'm also an Autodesk Revit professional, 3D Max professional, certified instructor for Autodesk, and a project management professional. Okay, today's agenda, what we're going to learn today. We're going to have a quick look at what is BIM, what we can do with BIM, and what is the relationship between BIM and Revit. Usually people misunderstand the relationship between BIM and Revit and what's the difference between those. We'll also have a quick view of the history of Revit. We'll be introduced to Revit Interface, how to open new files, and the navigation in Revit, how to navigate inside your models in Revit. There will also be a special offer for 10 lucky winners at the end of this session. And I have to remind you guys that tomorrow and after tomorrow we will still have more content to discuss. So starting with our first topic, what is BIM? BIM is actually a process. It's not a software. It's more of a method of working, a methodology of design, and usually that process includes lots of stages that works along with the life cycle of your project. So we start with programming and then move into conceptual design. You can see here at the top. From that you go to detailed design, maybe some analysis in between, documentation of your design, and then you move on to fabrication and construction, where you can use technologies like 4D and 5D BIM. The process itself starts with creating an intelligent 3D model. And what we mean by that 3D intelligent model is we've seen in the past AutoCAD. AutoCAD works with lines, and those lines are not intelligent at all. Like the program does not differentiate between a wall, a column, a window. I know that AutoCAD has evolved nowadays, but the technology itself, the CAD technology, this is how it was. It was just lines. Now, later on, we had 3D models that you can work with, and those 3D models still are not very intelligent. In BIM, the purpose is that you have an intelligent model that really understands what you're creating. It understands that this is a wall, it has a material, it has finishing layers, and when you create a door or a window, it automatically creates an opening, because otherwise it's not usable. The technology of BIM enables document management in a sense of documenting your project and the information that you have in that model, coordinating between different disciplines, which is not really possible without BIM. We used to do it in CAD, I know, and we used to do it even on 2D drawings, even before CAD. They had to do coordination somehow. But now with BIM, this is much easier, and you're going to see once you start working with Revit how easy it is to detect issues and to find problems in coordination throughout the life cycle of the project. Now, what is the relation between Revit and BIM? Revit is the authoring tool that we use to create that intelligent 3D model that we discussed. If you want to see how Revit covers, how many phases does it cover, this is how it is. So you can see that it can work starting from conceptual design throughout analysis, documentation, detailed design, even construction, 4D and 5D stages. We still use it in those stages, and construction logistics. You can even plan how you're going to do the logistics in your project. Now, what is the history of Revit? The Revit started as a company. It was called Charles River Software, which was founded in Newton, Massachusetts, on October 31, 1997, and then it was renamed in 2000. In the year 2000, it was renamed to Revit Technology Corporation. Later, it was acquired by Autodesk in 2002. Previously, Revit had only architectural capabilities, and then it moved on to more structural elements, and later to more of MEP and the whole disciplines of architecture and building construction. Let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow. Right now it's time to jump into Revit. I'll switch to Revit, and I'll show you how the interface works.
Sorry, can we work in the Revit as well, or just watch what we are showing?
Yes, exactly. I started with this presentation, and then now we're going to jump into Revit. So the version of Revit I'm going to use is Revit 2020, but you can still follow with any version that you have. Usually, if your version is not before 2016, it's not much different in terms of interface. Of course, the program has lots of improvements on every version, but you can still follow for these essentials. Okay, so now we have Revit opened. Let's discuss the interface of Revit. The first thing you will see is the recent files, and recent files has all the models that I've worked on recently. And if I scroll down, you can also see something called families. And if you're not really familiar with Revit, families are the blocks or components that we use inside projects. First, we're going to start by opening an existing project. I'll go to Models, Open, and navigate to the Samples folder. This Samples folder is by default installed on every computer once you have Revit. And I'm going to open this project, RAC Basic Sample Project. Now, once this project opens, you will see that we have the drawing interface in the middle, and then we have two panels here, the properties panel and the project browser panel. On top, you'll see these ribbon menus, and inside these ribbon menus you can use all the tools that you need to model structural elements, architecture, or even MAP if you're into MAP. Of course, Revit asks you first what is your industry if it's the first time you open it, and you can select that your industry is architecture and construction. Right now you can see that most of these tools are disabled. I cannot use any of them because I'm in a sheet. What we can see right now is the title sheet. And this is very helpful, by the way. If you open that specific project, you'll see here some help topics that you can review on each view. To switch to another view, at the left side, you can see the project browser. And I can switch to floor plans, let's say level 1. Double-click any of the views, and it will open. You can see the new tab created now for level 1 view. And you will see that level 1 in the project browser has been highlighted with bold text. The same can be done with elevations. Let's say I need to see that east elevation, this side. I'm going to double click east elevation and it opens just like that. Another way of navigating is if I'm in plan view, I can see here that arrow which indicates the elevation. If you double click that arrow, it opens the same elevation. So this is what we mean by having smart or intelligent 3D model, where you can switch to other views and you can select any of them. The same happens in elevation. If I select any of these levels, I can right click and select go to floor plan. And this opens automatically the same floor plan that we had.
Sorry, can I ask you something?
Sure.
I don't have the tabs. I mean, when I click on floor plan or section, it changed, but it doesn't appear the tab on the top.
Those tabs.
Like yeah, it doesn't appear like that.
Okay. What version of Revit do you have?
2018.
Yes, in 2018 those tabs were not there, but you will see on top it will indicate which view you have. At this title bar, it will show you the file name and the tab, which view you have.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
To switch, you're welcome. Thank you. To switch between views, open views. If you have a couple of views open like this, you can press Control Tab to switch. So by pressing Control Tab, I can switch between views. If I want to close all those views, I can simply go to View, and from View I can click Switch Windows to switch, or I can close all inactive views. Another method of opening views in Revit is okay, I'm sorry, I'll just stop the view. Okay. So another method is to open the elevation. If I want to see the elevation and plan at the same time, I will click Tile Views. In this way, I can see plan and elevation at the same time. Also, if I select any of those elements in the elevation, you will see that they are highlighted in plan. So if I select this wall, for instance, I can see the same is highlighted here. Any modification that happens in any of the views will be reflected on all other views, and schedules are included. So if I switch to the schedules, let me scroll down and show you one of the schedules we have. Let's say this planting schedule. So if I open that planting schedule, you can see how many trees do we have here in that project. And if I select any of these trees, let's say this tree, the PRC tree, and delete it, automatically it's deleted from the schedule as well. So this is how smart it is inside Revit. Do you have any questions? Can I answer any of your questions so far?
What was that you said to have a view of elevation as well as a floor plan in one screen? What was the option?
The option is from view, you can select tile views.
Tile views.
Tile views, yes. There is a shortcut for this as well, WT. So if I close
Sorry?
WT.
Okay.
If I want to maximize any of these views again, just double click the tab views, and now it works again. It goes again to the same as it was. Someone is drawing on the screen.
I have one more question. This scale is the real scale, isn't it?
Well, we
So,
draw in
one
Revit.
one by one.
Yes, we draw with the true units. So if you want to draw in millimeters, you can draw in millimeters, and the same applies to meters. So if I switch to meters, the units doesn't change. My model does not change. Only dimensions will show in a different way. But these are the...
But it's not 1 per 100, for example. It's real size, like AutoCAD.
Yes, it's real size. Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to see how we can navigate in the model. So I'm going to switch to my 3D view. The 3D view, you can switch from this top button, default 3D view, or from view 3D view. You can also find it here in views under 3D. 3D views, you can see any of these cameras. Now to navigate in this view, if you have a 3-button mouse, you can click the middle mouse button to pan, and you can scroll it up and down to zoom in or zoom out. If you press shift with the same button, the middle mouse button, keep it pressed and rotate around, and you'll see that you can orbit around your model. And if you use control with the same mouse button, you can zoom in and zoom out, but with more precision. If you are in a camera view like this, then you have more options. One of the options would be to walk. And to start walking, I need to use this wheel. To open the navigation wheel at the right side, you'll see this navigation wheel. Okay, Right now this view is locked. I'll have to unlock it first, and then I can use the navigation wheel. You can see here that I can use the same options. I can orbit, I can zoom in and out, and I could rewind to undo all the modifications to my angle. There is another option that is center, and if you click center and move it to a spot, let's say to this car, then my focal point is going to be this car. Whenever I orbit, I'm orbiting around this specific element. To change my target, I'll click again on center, and now I can navigate around this. Personally, I usually use using the mouse because it's easier and more practical. Unless I'm inside a view like this and I want to navigate, if I want to walk through it, then maybe I will use the full navigation wheel, which you can switch from here, this little button. You can switch to full navigation wheel, and here you can find more options like walk. If I press it and keep it pressed.
How do you make the navigation wheel appear? I think the view is locked.
If you is your view 3D? Are you in 3D view like this?
Yes, I'm in the 3D views and the approach view, but I couldn't pan. I couldn't orbit it. I think it's locked. You explained before. How do I unlock it?
If it's locked, okay. You will see this small button with the lock, the 3D with the lock button. Just click it and make sure that it's unlocked. It's at the bottom.
The 3D unblock button is coming in properties palette.
No, it should be at the bottom panel, the view control panel.
After I will screen. Okay.
Under the drawing area. We'll come back to that. If you need specific assistance with this, you can share your screen with me after the session. Okay. For now, you can switch to any other view. You don't have to work with the approach one because it's locked. If you cannot unlock it for now, you can switch to kitchen, for example. Now the kitchen view is taking more time to load because it's shaded and it has realistic views. Now how about this way of presenting? Right now you can see there is a difference between the living room, how it's represented, and that kitchen. This one shows more textures, real textures to material. You can see here on that table there is a wooden texture to it, and there is also a concrete texture to the column. While in the living room there is nothing like that. It's not the same. This is because of different viewing options, different graphical options, which you can change from here. At the bottom you will see the name of that view, its perspective, and you will see that visual style, which you can click and change. I can change it to be hidden line if I prefer to have graphics in that way. I can also change it to show shadows or turn shadows off if I don't want to see any shadows at all. Sometimes if your graphic card is not very strong, it's easier to work in this environment with hidden lines, no shadows, so it's easier for a computer to handle. Okay? Now, navigation in a plan view or a 2D view is a little different. If you switch to the 2D wheel, you'll see that you have less options because it's 2D. So I have the pan option. I also have rewind. I can undo any zoom or any panning I've done. And I can I can still zoom in and out. So definitely in a 2D view, I wouldn't go into something like that. I wouldn't use the 2D wheel because I don't really need it. Now going back to our interface, you'll see that we have properties panel, and in that properties panel you will see the properties of any element that you select. So if I don't have anything selected, right now I see the properties for my floor plan. The view scale is 1 to 100. Someone asked a question about this before. So this is the scale of printing. I'm going to print this to that scale, that specific scale, 1 to 100. And the display model is normal, which I can change as well. And I have more options here if I want to change the properties of that specific view. Now if I select an element, let's say if I select one of these walls. Now once I select it, you'll see the properties will reflect the properties of that element. You'll see the type of the element, it's a basic wall, and you'll see some parameters as well, length, area, and volume. All these are happening automatically inside Revit. So whenever you select an element like that, you will see all its information, and that information can be reflected in your schedules and in your BOQ as well. If I select something different, like a furniture piece, you'll see that we have different options, like which level it lays on. For some elements like furniture, it needs a level to host it. It cannot be a standalone element. It cannot just stand in the space. Everything in Revit is connected to each other. Any questions so far? Okay.
Sorry, yes, I have one question.
Sure.
What is the display model you said? What is that?
The visual style, you mean?
No, the display model that you have to choose between normal, halftone, and do not display.
Uh-huh.
When I'm on the, yes.
Yeah, if you want to change that display model, let's say you have it at halftone, you'll see that the lines of my model are halftone right now. And
okay.
yeah, we don't usually use that option unless we're creating a detail, let's say for fire escape plan. So maybe I need a halftone plan, and then I will draft something on top of that.
All right. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll go back to normal for you. Okay. Do you have a question?
Sir, how can you find the tree simultaneously? Let's say, a while ago you take a view of the perspective tree, then suddenly you can go right away. How did you do that?
How do you switch, you mean, between 3D and 2D?
Another 3D. Yeah.
If you
Look at your presenting the interior a while ago.
uh-huh.
To interior. So how did you pan to that view right away?
Well, Control Tab is the way. If I press Control Tab, I can switch between any of these. Was that your question?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay, going back to views. What if I need to create a new view? How do I create a new view? Let's say I need to navigate to this hall. I need to see how it looks from this stair down the kitchen and dining hall. To do that, I need to create a camera. So I'm going to switch to 3D view, select camera, and in plan view, I'm going to select where I need to stand, and then move my mouse. I don't need to drag or anything, and just click where I want my camera to look. Now this is exactly how it looks from that angle. If I need to change that, I can change it to a shaded view, and maybe I need some shadows as well. So now I understand how it looks from that angle towards the dining and kitchen.
Sorry, where is the camera? I mean, how you create the camera?
How I create the camera. From level 1, I went back to my floor plan, and inside the floor plan you select view, and then select this split button, the lower side of the split button, click 3D view, and then click camera. This is how you create a camera.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. And the same goes for elevations, sections, and plans. If I need to create any view, you'll usually go to the view tab and start creating what you need. Let's say I need a section in that specific area. I will click one way and click the other, double click that section, or right click and go to view, and automatically I can see a section of my model in that area. So we've discussed so far the project browser, how you can navigate through your different views, how to create more of these, how you can switch between them by double clicking any of the views. We've also discussed an overview of the properties panel, the main drawing panel, and the ribbon menu, how you can switch between the ribbon tools. We're going to discuss furthermore tomorrow for more options, how to create these elements, how to start creating those elements. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this short session, and I hope to see you all very soon. And don't forget to come back tomorrow, 1st of May, 5 p.m. same time. The contact details are here. You can add me on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm a social person, so I'll welcome any of your messages, of course. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send it, even if you're not signed to any of these courses.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye.